Third biggest club, third biggest budget, third biggest fan base. But that did not stop Hearts from falling into the bottom six. Welcome back, guys. It's Son of Scotland TV. It was a bad weekend there for Hearts. Had a great chance of getting into the top six. All they had to do was win. All they had to do was match St Mirren's result and they would be through. And unfortunately for us, it looks like that's what Neil Critchley done. He tried to just match St Mirren's result, but in the end, he couldn't because St Mirren won and Hearts did not. Real negative display from Hearts, and the fact that St Mirren were behind in the game, I don't think helped. St Mirren were losing at points to Ross County, they were drawing at points to Ross County, and for me, negative Critchley thought, well, here, we don't need to win because St Mirren aren't winning, and if we lose to Motherwell, then we're going to drop out the top six anyway, so what we're going to do is shut up shop. And I mean, some people will maybe agree with that tactic, that here, if St Mirren aren't winning, there's no point risking it against Motherwell, but I think that when you're Hearts and you're competing against Motherwell, you're competing against St Mirren, you shouldn't be relying on what other teams are doing. You should just do what you need to do. And if you win, that puts the top six out of sight. That puts you into sixth place, and that gives Motherwell and that gives St Mirren no chance in hell, as Finney Mac used to say. But that did not happen. We didn't even score a goal, barely created any chances. He didn't even start Shankland, and I know Shankland's only scored, 4 goals all season. He's not been great, but it's a must-win game, and for Shankland not to start, I can't agree with that at all. Towards the end of the game, you've got Craig Halkett brought on to play up front. Just desperation, real bad stuff. And I've never really understood that when somebody thinks the best chance of getting a goal is just sticking a big player, a tall player. And Craig Halkett's not even that big, but that is like hit and hope football. That is like some dog shite Route 1 stuff, man. That's something you'd expect to see like a Sam Allardyce do. And we don't want a Sam Allardyce type manager at Hearts. And then his post-match press conference, for me, sealed the deal. I wanted the guy gone after the draw. I never wanted the guy in charge in the first place. But when he came out and he spoke about how the players did well and that they can be proud that they got into the final game before the split with a chance to make the top six, that's not something to be proud of. That's embarrassing. Hearts should have the top six sealed and delivered before we get anywhere near match day 33. And then when he was asked, will it be hard to pick the players up, he went no, because we've got a big Scottish semi-cup final game coming up. And I get it, you need to be up for that game, but how can you not be down? How can you not be demoralised after being 6th on match day 33 and then being 7th after match day 33? The guy doesn't fill me with motivation. The guy doesn't fill me with confidence. Don't think he fills the players with confidence either. Listen, was there a pick-up in form in the league? I'd say yes, but is that down to Neil Critchley? Or is that just down to the fact that Hearts are superior than most of the teams that they play in the league? Therefore, you're bound to get a turnaround in the league. What we've seen under Naismith was just unbelievable, and that was never going to continue. Hearts were never going to continue the season nailed in 12th. They've got a far better squad than most teams in there. They were always going to start climbing up the league table, so I don't know if we can give Critchley that much credit. Plus, they did win their first 2 games in Europe, and then only picked up 1 point at the next 12, which meant they finished 24. And you know what? That's another game. That's pretty similar to the top 6, to be honest, where Hearts just needed to win that, and they would have been in, they would have qualified, but it was a case of a draw might be enough, and then it turned out that a draw wasn't enough. So I mean, that is twice. There's 2 examples where you could look at and go, here, Hearts have been knocked out of top 6 and knocked out of Europe because they didn't get wins in games that 3 points would have guaranteed them a spot in the next round or a spot in the top 6. And negative fucking Neil Critchley. Not saying he played for a draw against Paphos, but, you know, is what it is. Shite, guys. Absolute shite. So, not happy. Talk more about it tomorrow. Hearts bottom 6. And, I mean, you look at it now. Where's the big games? Don't have another Edinburgh derby. Don't have the big games against the Old Firm. I mean, we've got a big game coming up in the Scottish Cup, but from this point onwards, it's Diddy teams. And right now, we're playing like a Diddy team, so that's probably where we deserve to be. Anyway, that's it. Catch you guys in the next one. Till then, peace.